I was like, oh fuck. Oh, I also have a picture of me. So when I cut my beard off, it was really long, so I was able to cut it in the style of Harry Dubois and do like the chops with the mustache. So I took pictures of myself like that. They're terrible and great at the same
That's
time.
awesome.
There's
Hey,
adorable
Kelly.
pictures. Okay. Here's
Thank
the
you.
before pic and then the after Harry Dubois pics.
Oh
It
my
looks so
gosh.
bad.
This is gonna be awesome.
I can't wait to cosplay this. Like, it's gonna be so good.
Please do. I saw a really good Disco Elysium Harry cosplay on Reddit, on the Disco Elysium Reddit. Like they did it really, really well.
It's just,
I'm trying
it's honestly, it's the most exciting thing that happened in 2023, in my opinion, was like
to-
playing Disco Elysium and having it just open my eyes to what games could be. Like,
yeah.
I never thought of games really as a vehicle for storytelling,
Mm.
which is funny because that's kind of what they are. Um,
Hmm.
and I like a lot of games because their stories are good, but like it has to be balanced with like good interaction. And the thing about
Right.
Disco Elysium is it's just a point and click adventure. Like
Right.
it's not balanced by like interesting mechanics and things like that. Now there are particulars that are like super cool.
Hmm.
Like the necktie talking to you and you have to have like a certain threshold of ability to be able to have that happen. And if you don't have that, you just never know that your necktie talks to you.
Right. Wait, the
Uh
necktie can talk to you?
Oh yeah, so if you have your inland empire up past a certain threshold, your
Really?
necktie talks to you.
What?
Yeah, it's got this crazy voice and calls you Praton.
Dude, I don't think that ever happened to me. That's interesting.
But like, so that's a good example of like how it is an interesting game in that like mechanical respects. But
Yeah.
otherwise, it's just a point and click story with really good voice acting. That's all it is.
Right.
And it like, I
Right.
mean, it blows your mind. It's revolutionary. It's unlike anything else. And it's one of those things like I know I'm going to be chasing that dragon. Like I know I'm going to be looking for the next thing that's like Disco Elysium that like, changes my perception as much as it does.
Right. I found it. I'm gonna send this link to you.
Yeah. Anywho, do you like my Dubois shave? Isn't it terrible?
Let me see. Chat. Can I? Let me see. Okay. Yeah. Is that is that bubble tape? Bubble gum?
No, it's uh a measuring tape,
Ah,
like for
it's
like
not the fun
clothes
kind
and
of tape.
tailors. No, it's not tape I can eat, unfortunately. I mean, I
Oh
could eat it.
man.
Hmm.
I it's funny like how you described it because after I finished Disco Elysium, the exact same thing happened to me. I was like, wow, this game's so amazing and so innovative and so good. I want to play something exactly like this again so I can continue that feeling. And so I'm like, Pillars of Eternity, and I'm like, because I was even having like a discussion with Justin. Like I was messaging Justin while he's at work, and I was like, should I play Tyranny? Should I play Divinity? Should I play Pillars of Eternity? Should I play like how do I get that feeling back? And he's like, nope, none of those will work.
Nope.
None
Yeah,
of
like
them.
nothing else is like it. Like truly.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
and it's so
oh
much
well.
deeper than like you're ever able to learn in the game. Like
Mm,
which is kind of like I guess that's the next thing is to like research the world and like Revachol and like the different
mm,
things that the creators wanted to do. Um and like look at its wiki because like there's some crazy shit that's like implied in the story that's like canon, but like you have to go outside of Disco Elysium to learn those truths, like
really?
those canons. Yeah. Um,
Really?
I don't want to give anything away because it's such a fun scavenger hunt to like look online and
Yeah,
like find that stuff. But yeah, there's
yeah.
like things that happen in the future that are canon, that are mentioned in the
What?
story, that like you could kind of get an idea that that's how it worked, but like without the other information, like ways other cultures interact with the Pale, like is like one of the
Really?
things that is a really cool secret. It's making my hair stand up. um but like you're never going to quite connect or at least I don't think I would have been able to connect those pieces just
Hmm.
playing the game. Like I needed to like find other people who are more obsessive than I am,
Yeah,
who have already done the
yeah.
research, which is great because the world's full of those
Right.
people.
They're called autistic people.
I know. I love them for the great wikis that they make.
Hmm.
And
I
nothing else. I'm kidding. That's mean.
oh. I know from just talking to Measurehead. You know what's so funny? So like you first meet Measurehead and you're like, "Oh wow, I'm going to have to become a racist if I want to complete this game." And it's
Hmm.
shocking. And I swear, I might be wrong here, but later on in the game, right around like the third day or the fourth day, I'm pretty sure if you want to re-access the harbor again, I think you have to become racist and like internalize his race theory because the fake ID no longer works and you can't do that like leap of death anymore to get into the harbor. So
Yeah, you
there
can only
is
do
like
that leap once. Yeah.
yeah, and I swear there's like this point in the game where you have to like internalize his race theory. Otherwise, you can't access the harbor anymore because you can't fight him. You can't do the leap. He looks at your fake ID card and he was like, "This is obviously fake. I'm not going to accept it." And I was like, how do you get back in?"
See, you
You
should
know?
play, you should do a couple more, or at least another playthrough and like start looking stuff up as you do it, because there's a lot of ways to get past Measurehead. You can beat him up, if you have good enough physical, and then like
Yeah,
he respects you and doesn't fuck with you anymore because you kicked
yeah.
his ass. Kind of.
Huh.
Um, there's a few. I think there's, and then there's the jump. Yeah, the jump,
Yeah.
the leap of death. If you successfully do that, I think he doesn't mess with you. Like once you come out, I think he doesn't mess with you anymore. I could be wrong though.
There's
Um,
yeah, like the initial time you go see the fat guy behind the desk about your gun, there's like yeah, there's like 5 different ways to get in. But it's weird because later on in the game, it takes a lot of those methods away from you, which was interesting. And then one of the
hmm,
only methods left was just like you have to be
be a
racist.
racist. Well, you can spend a experience point to get rid of a thought.
Yes. Yeah.
So like you can take it and like be like a racist buddy buddy with him and then get rid of it. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
that would keep him from letting you in though. But
I
one thing I really like about the game is it makes you, well, it doesn't make you, but it gives you, it wants you to lean into the ugliness of the world. Like, because the first time I played through it, I did an intelligence build because that uh Justin was doing the sensitive build, so I wanted to
mm,
just do a different one.
mhm,
And I didn't really like choose like a ideology to follow because I was like they're all so extreme. They're not like how I would play a character, not even realizing yet that I'm not playing my character. I'm playing Harry, and Harry's crazy as fuck.
mm.
So
Right,
I was going
right.
in the middle, and on like day 2 or day 3, the game starts kind of making fun of you for not committing to one thought or another. It like calls you a boring cop, and like characters will make fun of you because like you don't choose a side. So the game wants you to like get nasty with it, and I really like that.
Really?
Yeah.
That I never encountered that dialogue. Like they never called me like a boring cop or like urged me to make
Oh,
more
interesting.
wild decisions.
It might have been an
I
internal thing, like your own inner monologue is like telling you that you're boring because you won't commit to something. But
Mm.
there's also rewards for committing. And it's one of those
Yeah.
things like I'll do it, but I'm going to do it with a
Yep.
guide because your dream at the end of the game changes based on like how you commit. So, or maybe not the dream. There might be another interaction. I haven't done it yet, so and I haven't looked up videos. But like for example, if you choose
Huh.
all the communist stuff, you get this like interesting communist
Yeah.
interaction with characters that you otherwise don't see.
Really?
Hmm.
Huh.
I think
I,
it's the same way for fascism, for like, Rebisholian fascism. Uh,
yeah.
but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, there's like
Huh.
so many different little like tidbits to the story that like to chase the dragon for that game is to just research that game a little bit more and then play it those ways.
Mm. Mm. Interesting. I didn't become communist or fascist. I did become like a proponent of the free market though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
ultra
Like,
liberalism, yay.
yeah, like my guy was like, "We hate taxation. It's the worst."
One worker, one vote. I
Is
love
there
Everard Clare. He's so crazy.
Oh. Um, did you get the secret ending, like the good ending, where it turns out that like basically like giant bug aliens caused that guy to snipe the man in the bedroom?
Yeah. I think you learn that. That's not true. I think there's a lot of ways to get that ending where you learn about the Insulindium phasmid. Um,
Oh.
I'm pretty sure, but also like there's a lot of different ways things can go. Um,
Mm.
um, I think Kim can get shot in the
Yes.
tribunal, and like he
Yep.
just is gone. Then he's
Yep.
just no more Kim.
Yep.
Um,
And then do you know who becomes your partner if Kim goes to the hospital after the tribunal?
mm-mm.
This is gonna blow your mind, but get ready. So if Kim gets so injured he goes to the hospital, your new partner becomes Kuno.
Oh,
Kuno becomes your
wonderful.
partner for the rest of the game.
Now I have to do that.
I know, right? It's crazy.
I love Kuno. Crazy
I
fuck.
know.
All the characters are so good.
Yeah, they really are. You can try to shoot the body down, and then I think if you accidentally hit Kuno, it's an automatic game over.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know you could accidentally hit Kuno if you failed enough. My first
Yep.
playthrough, I successfully shot the body down. Just like luck just happened to do
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I didn't like
Um,
say like I did save some stuff, but that one I didn't. I just
mhm.
happened to get it. I had that click and then it did it and I just shot it down. And everybody was
Holy
impressed.
crap. What was the percentage? Because you shoot the rope, right?
Yeah, I think it's hand-eye coordination, which is
Mhm.
a physic, no, motoric skill. Which, if you take the
Oh, yeah.
intelligence build, it's intelligence and motorics are your two high ones. So I have really good hand-eye coordination. So my percentage was
Oh,
much higher than like it normally is, because usually it's like 3% or something like that. But I think mine was like
right.
27 or somewhere around there, and I just happened to get it.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Yeah. I think it's during that sequence where if you miss the shot, you can end up hitting Kuno and it's like an automatic game over. And there's like this newspaper that comes up and it's like deranged police officer shoots child.
My first playthrough, like I started the game and I turned on the lights and that made me like take 1 health and I only had 2 health. And I went to grab the tie and I failed and then just died of a heart attack. It was like the first like 48 seconds of the game.
What?
I was like, oh, and Justin was like, oh, you're dead, and I was like, I just tried to grab my tie, man. Like, he's like, did you turn off the fan? I was like, no.
Oh.
He's like, you should probably turn off the fan first. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna reload it.
A lot of people were complaining about that because they thought it was like your typical role-playing game where you could build your character however you wanted and you could play however you wanted. And they went with similar builds that only had like 2 health or like maybe 2 morale, and then they were just dying within like the first 20 minutes of the game. You try to get, I think, your gun back, and it's like boom, there goes morale, boom, there goes morale, and
Oh
people were
yeah, you
getting
take like
stuck.
3 morale hits like the first time you talk to Everard Claire, and it's
Yep,
really hard to avoid them.
yep, yep. And people were just getting stuck and just, yeah, getting pissed off, and so
See, I,
yeah,
I I love that because like it's punishing, but on the flip side, the game lets you save anytime you want to. So like
yeah,
just save scum.
yeah, yeah,
But
exactly,
I get it because
exactly.
some people have like, pride points or like they like to play games specific ways. So when games fall outside of that, they don't really enjoy it or they're nervous about doing it. I'm that way with a lot of morality games. Like whenever I have
Mhm,
like morality choices, it like paralyzes me. But now I just kind of
mhm.
like lean into it and I'm like, okay, like I can always, play it again as evil if I want. Um,
Yeah,
so I try to like
yeah,
stick a concept, like pick a concept and stick with it.
and kind of like more role play the character, like if you were doing like a tabletop session.
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly.
okay, interesting.
But yeah, the
Yeah.
Pale is like it's right up there with my favorite book series as like things that people put into their fantasy worlds that are
Mhm.
just super cool and unique. Like the Pale is fucking cooler than everything. The Pale is so cool.
I wasn't I wasn't completely clear on what it was and how it worked because you're hunting you're hunting Ruby, and you find her on this, island, and then she hits you with these sound waves that basically kind of like paralyze you. And it's all this information and all these like sound waves coming in. And well, you explain it, Thomas. What is your how,
Oh,
how do you view
well,
it?
I don't want to say too much because it is rewarding to go back through and to like look at the wikis and like read as you play. But the
Mm,
Pale is like the death of information. It makes math stop
mm.
working. So the sound waves that Ruby was using is because she is a lorry driver. So she has
Wait, wait, what?
access. So Ruby is
Yeah,
a
she was
lorry
the lorry
driver.
driver because I
So
went through her cab and found like I remember going through her cab. It's like the green one, right? And it was locked,
mm,
and she's not inside. And then you find like diagrams and like radio frequency information and stuff like that. Um,
right.
I know there was some sort of like organized crime involved. Was she smuggling drugs for like organized crime, or was she like just
I
doing her
believe
own thing?
so. I believe she was
Okay.
smuggling drugs, but in order, so what the Pale is it's the death of physics. Like math doesn't work anymore in the Pale. And the deeper you go in the Pale, the more those effects happen. So like you'll throw up a ball and it'll just continue up forever. Like
Mm,
things like that. So that like sounds and stuff that she was using is basically the technology of the day to force math to work in the Pale. So like it basically just screams information out into the Pale and allows technology to operate for a little bit longer while traveling through the Pale. Um, they talk about aerostatic travel, and like the way it basically works is because math stops working in the Pale, all of your math has to happen early on in your travel. So they basically, just like a dart, throw like, ships through the pale to get to the other Isolas on the other side of the pale. And they have to give it enough math, enough force and stuff to travel through the pale when nothing new can be applied to it. Because the pale is the death of physics. So you can't add any more propulsion to yourself while you're traveling through the pale. It all has to start at the beginning.
I did not get any of this.
Yeah, and it's
Maybe.
really hard to get the information. Joy Messier has the best pale explanation, but like there's still a bunch of information that like is hidden little pieces around the world and in stuff outside of Disco Elysium. There's not too much stuff, but there's like interviews with the creators and stuff like that that kind of give you a little bit more information.
Man. Okay.
The Insulindium Phasmid tells you some stuff about the Pale too. Um,
Hmm.
but it's all super disjointed and it's not together. So you have to like kind of like Dark Souls lores. Like you have to like find this piece of information here and find this piece here and understand like and put them together and see like, oh, okay, well that implies this. And the Pale is super rewarding in that way.
Interesting. So did you do like all the extra research, like watch the interviews and read the wiki to like figure it all out?
Honestly, the wiki is super robust. So like the wiki's got pretty much all that information there for you,
Hmm.
with a bunch of sources. And I watched a few videos, um, and that's where in the videos that I watched, it was when I realized like, oh shit, like there's so much information like outside of the game that people have been sourcing. So I haven't kept down the rabbit hole because I was just trying to find enough information to make a role-playing game work. um
Hmm.
and there's still a lot of things that are like there's some really good maps of the world, but none of them are confirmed as like actually true by the creators. They're just like implied, based on the information in the story. um
Hmm.
but yeah, Disco
Interesting.
Elysium, so cool, so cool.
I'm glad. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad I could talk to you about that because I wasn't gonna get any of that information. Like Justin started to hint at it when I was talking to Justin about it. He's like, "Oh, the pale is so cool," and I was in my head, I'm just like, "Isn't it just like a bunch of
A bunch of
radio
fog.
frequencies?" Yeah, that was all coming in, but he was like super pumped on it, and I couldn't figure out why. But that makes more sense now.
Yeah, I definitely recommend just like going to the wiki and reading about the pale. Like it's gnarly.
Did you keep reading? You got to the third book of the trilogy for the first law, right?
Oh yeah, I'm maybe 2/3 of the way through it now. I've
Oh,
been reading more the
really?
past week.
Oh, nice.
So Logan just killed the Feared and became King of the North, I guess. That's where I stopped. So West
Nice.
or Jazal Luthar is now King of Midderland.
Mhm.
And he's made West into the I can't remember the title, but the general, like the highest ranking like military officer.
Yeah.
Um, um, Galacta is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because Salt's asking him to research one thing, and then the people he borrowed money from, the bank,
Oh,
is
yeah.
telling him specifically like, don't research that shit, like we'll just kill you. Um,
Yeah.
so like he's trying to figure out like what to do in that scenario. Um, and that's like all the big hits right now. But
Mm.
yeah, it's still riveting. I'm still really enjoying it.
Yeah, the first that first trilogy is really, really well done. Um, have you noticed that pattern where like many times like an author's first book is like amazing, or like the first trilogy is amazing, but then many times it kind of goes downhill from there, and
Yeah,
it's
because
just
it seems like
because
they pour their heart and inspiration into it, and then they're
yeah,
dry. Yeah.
yeah, like the first gentleman gentleman bastards book, it to me it was just like incredible, like it's so good. You read that one, right?
No, I've had that on my
Oh,
list for a while, though. I've heard
oh,
it's
okay,
good.
okay. Yeah, the first Gentleman Bastards book is just like incredible. It's super good. And then the sequels are not bad, but it's almost like with Patrick Rothfuss where it's those that first book is just like incredible, and you can tell he put a lot of thought and effort into it, and he had been kind of conjuring that up for like, decades maybe.
Is that the Lies of Locke Lamora? Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
that one gets recommended all the time on the fantasy Reddit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So at least read the first one.
Like, the first one is a must read, kinda like how the first I would say the first, Wise Man's Fear book is like a must read. Um,
Yeah, but the second one isn't necessarily a must read. Yeah, I agree.
yes, it's and I see that pattern with authors over and over again, because the first Lies of Locke Lamora book is just incredible, and then the first um Wise Man's Fear, no, it's the King Killer Chronicles, sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
I
Yeah,
was in, yeah. Um, that first book is just incredible. It doesn't even matter if he ever finishes the series, which he won't. It's just
because
like
the
that
first
first
book is so
book.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he can ride on the coattails of that book for probably another 10 years because it's just
which he
so
probably will.
yeah. It's just so well done. And then I don't wanna I don't wanna make you sad, but with Joe Abercrombie, who I believe was working in, like, a tea factory in Britain when he was coming up with the idea of the first law, you see that with him too, where that first trilogy, like, he thought about that a lot and put a lot into it. So it's excellent, excellent. Um, and then some of the other books that come after that, like, you can see that dip in quality,
Yeah,
but then
I
you
think
get
it
to
was
Red.
Heroes you said was kind
Yep,
of like me.
yeah. But then with him it's weird because then you get to Red Country, which comes far after that original trilogy. And then with Red Country, it's almost like he hits his stride and it's like the best thing that he's ever written ever. And you can't even like picture that someone wrote this. It's like so clever and just amazing. And then they start bringing back your favorite characters from like the first Law trilogy, and it's just like, oh, okay, well, I wasn't expecting this at all.
That's exciting. I'm probably gonna read like the rest of like Joe Abercrombie stuff. Probably not directly after this. I have the first of like the next few books.
Mm.
It's not Heroes, and I don't think it's Red Country. I think it's something else.
Best served cold or
Best Served
something.
Cold, maybe. Yeah, that I think that's what it is. It's different
Mm.
artwork too, which bums me out.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, the artwork is so good
uh,
for those
Speaking
covers.
of different artwork, so I have purchased the first book of the Magician series twice now. And the first one I gave to, I'm sorry, three times now. So the first one I gave to Greg years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and he got the second and third book, but now he doesn't have the first one anymore because he let somebody borrow it. So I
Oh
bought it
no.
again and I read it like 2 years ago. Um,
Yeah.
and then I let my friend Melanie borrow it. So I went to my bookshelf to like go grab it because like I knew
Yeah.
that's what we were talking about for reading next, and like I don't
Yeah.
have it anymore because Melanie has it. So I went ahead and
Oh
bought it again.
no.
It's fine.
A third time.
I got it for like $4 on thrift books. It'll be fine.
Oh,
But
right on. Right
it's a
on.
different art, and that made me sad. But then I was like, I already have like the other art, even if I don't have it right now. So it'll be interesting to have the different one.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
I can let somebody else borrow it and not have to worry because I'll still have them all.
I will not borrow it from you. I will give books to you so you can borrow them so we
You won't
can
be
like
able
break
to. I'll
that
only have the
cycle.
one and I'll be reading it.
I I don't know if you saw in our chat, I googled books that are similar to Harry Potter, and it was literally number one. It was like the very first one that pops
Oh,
up
really?
was The Magicians. When you say like books similar to Harry Potter, and I
It's
was like,
really good. It's really
yeah,
good. Yeah. I'm
are
I'm
they?
very excited for us to read it together because like
Mm,
Harry Potter's a story for like kids to young adults is like how I kind of
mm,
view the book series going, but like The Magicians is for adults. Like it's not a kid's book.
oh,
It's very serious.
oh my
And a
gosh.
lot of the characters in it are very complex and don't
Mm,
do redeeming things. Like when you think about
mm,
what it means for an actual person to get magic, like most of the time they don't do good shit with it. And like these are
mm,
geniuses, so they probably don't start with like a full bag and like the social normancy, like normalcy,
hmm,
like you know,
yeah,
scope of humanity. And that's
right.
really apparent in the books. And they do like they say some mean shit, they do some mean things to each other, they do some despicable things. But I
Yeah.
really like that because like that's real to me. Like not that all people are mean and despicable, but nobody's a protagonist like all the time,
Mm,
or at least most
yeah.
people aren't. Like that doesn't ring true. And the characters are nuanced enough and they do enough slimy shit that makes me really enjoy them as like actual characters.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. How
so
long are the books? What, oh,
oh,
sorry to interrupt
they're
you.
not very long. They're
They're
like
not long.
200 to 400 pages, and I think the first one
Really?
is like around
That's it?
300. Yeah,
Oh, that's like nothing.
yeah, it's really palatable. Yeah, it's a quick. They're all
Really?
quick stories, and they're really good.
Okay. Um,
Yeah, he doesn't linger the way a lot of fantasy authors tend to do. Uh,
mhm.
they move pretty quick.
Okay. Because I just finished I just finished like when I have downtime at work, like don't tell Christy, but there was like a point today where I had like at least an hour in between things, and I'm not gonna like volunteer for more work. So
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just reading Dark Tower book 5 for like an hour, and I closed it out. I finished it, and wow, that fifth book, Wolves of the Kala.
I remember that one being like one of my favorite books, especially after
it-
Wizard and Glass, which was a slog.
Yeah, yeah, which one? Wizard and Glass, that's the one where it like goes into like Roland's backstory, like really, really deep, right?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I
Yeah.
enjoy Roland's backstory. It's weird and creepy, but I like it. Maybe it was
Yeah,
wait.
the
I can't remember.
no, I know exactly what you're talking about because the first 3 books are just amazing, especially like the freaking sentient train that loves riddles. And then yeah, you get to the 4th book and that does turn into a slog. I agree like 100%. And then you get to cuz I mean there's whole chapters just devoted to like the old creepy witch like exploring Susanna's like butthole, and like crazy stuff like
Yeah.
that. She's like, "Ah, I have to make sure you're still a virgin for this governor." And you're just like, "Whoa, this is crazy."
Yeah, but specifically a butt virgin.
Yeah,
No, no.
remember that? Do you remember
Yeah.
that part where she's like, "I have to put my finger in your butt," and she's like, "Excuse me."
She's like, gotta do it.
And then she starts using like Merlin's grapefruit to like spy on other people, and she's basically like masturbating while watching naked women like while they're in the privacy of their own home, and she's like getting off to it. Do you remember all that?
Yeah, I
It
do.
was so yeah, by the time you hit the 5th book, I mean, it's just um that one's pretty big though. It was close to 600 pages.
How long are the Magician's book? The
I'm
Magician's.
curious. Yeah.
I realize now that typing in the phrase "the Magician's length" is kind of risky, but I've already done it. Let's do page count.
Yeah.
Page count. 402 pages for the Magicians for the first one.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
416 for the Magician's Land, the Magician's, I forgot what it's called. Magician's Land, the Magician's, I can't remember what the next one's called.
There's only 3 of them, right?
Yeah, there's only 3 of them.
What happened to Lev Grossman after that? You would think that he would have kept going after this success.
Oh, he's not a pretty boy.
What does that mean?
I'll send you a picture and you will find out.
Oh no!
That's okay.
Is Lev Grossman truly a gross man?
I mean, he looks like a eunuch. What I imagine eunuchs to look like.
Oh, that's such an accurate description, and that makes me so sad. What's wrong with his lips?
I don't know. Is it think
Oh
it's
my God.
smirking? I think he thinks he's smirking.
Oh. Oh no. Ugh.
Let's
This
see.
poor
Oh, he made
guy.
some comics. I guess he's been trying to get into film. So he did work as a consultant on the Magician series, which I really enjoyed.
Hmm.
Screenwriter for The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, which was 2021. And he's working on a story with the Rousseau brothers
The
called
Russo brothers?
called The
Oh,
Heavens, and that's to be determined. So I
oh
think he was
wow.
kind of like working on the show The Magicians and probably riding
Yeah.
that wave, and not creating like new creative works. Um, but yeah, it looks like he's trying to like realize stories on a more multimedia sense than a lot of authors like than a lot of people get to do because he's been like working with Neil Gaiman on some things.
Oh wow.
um I guess Neil Gaiman and him worked on the Magicians, uh
Wait,
or he
he's
worked on
54?
Dream Dangerously with Neil Gaiman. What is Dream Dangerously?
Yes. You must know more.
All right, looks like that's a documentary actually. It's the Neil Gaiman documentary. So he worked on that apparently.
Hmm. Interesting.
I'm not sure in
Because
what respect he worked on it.
huh. Does that does that ever confuse you when you have like a J.K. Rowling and she puts out this 7-book series that's just wildly popular, and you're like, well, just do another 7-book series, like that's what people want, but then they don't. Is that ever confusing to you?
Yeah, I think it's lightning in a bottle. I think it's hard to like catch on something that's going to appeal to the right amount of people at the right time in the right way.
Mm,
Um, so I feel like that's a big part of it.
mm,
It's like,
yeah.
she did write other book series, but like they're not Harry Potter and they don't have the same popularity as Harry Potter.
Mm-mm. It's not even close, right? I mean,
Which is
the
funny because like I'm looking at Neil Gaiman right now and like everything he's ever done or touched is fucking gold. Like
yeah,
everybody like agrees with that. So there's some people who are like, it's not their work that's the thing everybody loves. It's like what they bring to the table like consistently.
yeah,
So like some people I
yeah,
think hit it differently. And Neil Gaiman's interesting too because like none of his are series. They're all like standalone, interesting new
yep,
ideas.
yeah.
I mean, I guess the Sandman is enormous, so like you could say that's a series.
Yeah. But really, Sandman's like the only series that he did, and that was only 75 pages. It wasn't even necessarily that long.
I didn't realize it was that short. I thought it was like some crazy large amount. Oh, hi.
Hello. She has escaped, but she's muted.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, hi.
Where are you guys?
Hey,
Crazy.
I'm
Now
glad you got
the
free.
craziest.
I'm free.
Finally.
Yeah, there were like, well, there's been a lot of big ones, but two of them needed attention like at the same time. So I'm trying to juggle that. You're like, come on.
It was
Ugh,
funny. I was
you-
trying to leave an hour early yesterday because I was like, oh, I really want to go to the store, but like it sucks to go there after 4 because like traffic starts getting back on Holcomb Bridge. I was like, maybe I'll get to leave early and work later in the week. And then I ended up staying like 45 minutes past when I usually work, and I'm like, well, that's what I get.
You
That's
shade.
what happened.
I did. I'm a baby.
You do look like a little baby Thomas.
I'm a baby Thomas. Just hatched out of my Pokeball egg.
Thomas.
Thomas, rah. Is there a fox on your hand?
There is, yes.
Hey, buddy. That's
Did
cool.
you get a tattoo?
It's the logo for Cyberfox, and I had the like, one of those temporary tattoos at my desk, and I was like, I'm gonna put it on today.
Nice.
I did. But
Nice.
But then I was telling people that I got a real tattoo over the weekend. I was like,
And so that when I go like this, you see my fox. Like
That's funny.
also, like temporary tattoo technology has, not that that's something that I pay attention to, but I saw some videos recently of like a whole sleeve, and it's like they put it on and they took it off and they're like, you can't see anything now, but I'm gonna sit out in the sun and it's gonna develop and be there for 2 weeks. And then they took a picture of it and it's like, oh shit, that looks like a full ass sleeve that was like professionally done and it's like semi-temporary. Crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
so other than the fact that like it's kind of cracking a little bit just because of like how my skin moves, it looks really, really good.
Huh.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It looked real. It had me fooled.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you in the camera, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. I was excited. I got how much temporary tattoos. They're so fun.
So, did you guys want to read The Magicians next? Is that okay?
I'm down. Thomas, have you read it? It sounded like you.
I have, and it's so good, and I would love to read it again.
Well, yeah, that's and to me. Need to go get it.
Yeah, it'll probably be like a week or so till I get the first book in and can like actually start reading it. So it's still gonna be a little bit till like I can begin reading it too. So
But at least you've read it though. You do know like things.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad you guys want to read it because it's just really good. I think it's the perfect thing to read after Harry Potter because it's like, what if Harry Potter was more realistic and it was dealing with college age kids? Like that's like the story concept. And they don't stay in school either. Like you're out of the school and into the world like in the first book. And it's a 3-book series. Yeah, so they like go to school and graduate and become adults and then go start fucking shit up. Like it's great.
Oh, interesting.
Hey, that's awesome because that is one thing I kind of wish that we could see with Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Seeing them be out in the world has nothing to do with them trying to kill the wizard who's trying to kill them.
And I like that it's super modern too. Because like Harry Potter still kind of has this like I don't know, semi-medieval up until the 90s, lol. Like feel to it, because like when they're in the Harry Potter world, like it's very like low technology, but like the world
Mhm.
is at the point of like, the late 90s. So there's a lot of like suspension of disbelief where it's like, why didn't you just call this person? Like, like cell phones exist now. And that is uh incorporated into the magicians in a really cool way, because they're real ass people who have the availability of technology at their like means. So there's like
Mm.
times where you're like, oh, like it's dumb that they can't communicate, and it's like they just communicate with each other. Like that's not like there's not holes in the story in that way.
Yeah. Interesting.
I have
Yeah.
to go to a different page. I can't keep looking at Lev Grossman. It's not his fault.
Does that say he's 54?
1969. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, for 54, he's looking
He
pretty
looks
good.
really good for 54. That's a good point.
I
He's not
mean,
very
Wait.
wrinkled, is he?
Are you talking
yeah.
about?
Oh, it's in the chat. If you're stopped, you can see a picture of the author.
Is that picture him at 54? Do you know?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Mm.
Because if so, that's impressive. What is his skincare regimen?
It's the Korean one with like the 12 steps.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blood involved.
It's also sacrifices to.
Now, this is not a picture of Lev Grossman. This is a picture of Varys from Game of Thrones.
I thought that was him, and I was like, oh no.
It actually kind of does look like him if he gained some weight.
Yeah, or like maybe his like heavier brother. Oh,
Nice.
Jeremy, did you get the pictures of me with the terrible haircut, the beard?
Oh, did you text it to my
I
phone?
text them to you.
Let me see.
They're so bad. Okay, I gotta put them in Teams
Wait, is this... Oh my goodness. Oh, Thomas. Oh, Thomas.
They weren't
This doesn't
glamour
even
shots.
look like you. This doesn't even look like you.
Let me
What in the
share this. Allow. We're gonna go. Oh, I don't have Teams on this phone. Dang it! I switched phones and like it's got me all thrown off now.
Yeah.
I can forward them to Christy if I have your permission.
Yeah, you sure do. Yeah, thank you for asking, because these are pictures one must ask permission for. You'll
Yeah,
understand when
I
you see
don't
them.
want to.
They're not flattering.
I don't want to presume.
Or
So,
Don't
I'm gonna find a picture of the character that I'm emulating here because he's wonderful.
Yes. These are great, Thomas. Did you just take these?
A couple days ago when I shaved.
These are amazing. I try to always ask permission before sharing pictures, because one time Misha came back from cosplaying, and I was like, oh, these are so cool, I want to share these with everyone, and she was like, why did you share my cosplaying pictures? I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were hiding them. I felt so bad.
It's funny because Misha's like super private for being so outgoing.
I know.
It really is.
I felt so bad because like I was approaching it from the standpoint of like, you look so cool, you put so much work into this, let's share it with the world. And then she was like, Jeremy, what did you do? You put my cosplay pictures all over everything. You told everyone I'm a cosplayer. And I'm like, but it's cool. It's a good thing. And she was like still mad.
Nope.
And so now like I've been punished. So I'm like, hey, can I see your latest cosplaying pictures? And she's like, you can see them on my phone. I will not send them to you. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. I understand.
So this is the
So
character. His name is Harry, and he's great. And he's a garbage piece of mess person. And I love his facial hair. So when I was doing my beard, I like decided to like do his like, weird facial hairdo.
My goodness. You're right, but your face in 2 of these pictures is, or well, I guess.
Well, the character has this thing going on that's called the expression, and he can't not make it. And it's like this horrible smile. So like I was trying to do that when I was taking the pictures.
So hilarious.
mhm.
And it's funny, like when you play the game, you have to like internalize like why you think you're smiling that way because you wake up with amnesia. So you go and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, and then your inner monologue is like, why are you making that face? You can't stop, can you? And you're like, no, I can't stop. Like, and so you have to decide, and you're like, oh, I think it's like the face for the ladies, or I think it's supposed to make me seem thoughtful. But like, regardless, like, it's canon that you're just smiling stupidly like that all the time. I
It's
love him.
the other really cool thing about that game is all the backgrounds were like basically painted. So it's like you're walking through a painting, which is really interesting.
It's so gorgeous. It's very like bleak and kind of dystopian, but
Yeah,
it's also very pretty.
yeah. Let me see.
Yeah, it's almost like one of those. It's like the whole world is like painted like isometrically, like from one vantage point. So like
hmm
as you go through the game, it's literally like you're just walking through a painting. Like you can't really walk behind the edges
Yeah,
of buildings and stuff. It's very flat.
yeah. I'm trying to find like an example so we can show Christy so she can like see what we're talking about.
Here's there's a picture of the side of the cafe that you go in. Um, it's not the best example because it's like a screenshot, but like it's all like beautifully done in watercolors and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, like everything, like you walk through the world, but everything looks like kind of like a Norman Rockwell, like a little bit, maybe.
I'm not cultured enough. Yeah, I could agree with that.
Okay. Yeah.
This is got,
We
it's like an interesting feel to it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely a vibe. Like the whole game is like a vibe.
Yeah.
It's one of those like when you finish the game, you're like, oh, that was the best thing ever. I'm totally depressed right now. Like, so that's the vibe of it.
That
It's like a
ending.
beautiful and bleak.
I get that way.
Yeah.
I get that way after reading some books. Like, how do I move on from here?
Yeah, like, whoa, where does this leave me?
Right. And then I'll think about it I'll think about it for days, and because I'm thinking about the book for days afterward, I cannot start another book until I've thought about the other book.
hmm
Like enough that it's not happening like without
Right.
you like thinking about it on purpose. Because that's the
Yeah,
way I am. I get into something and it's so cool, I can't think about anything else. Like it's the thing that I'm thinking about.
I just keep thinking about it and thinking about it, and because of that, I don't have the mental energy to then dive into a whole nother story. Because
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about this other, like, it's still like existing in my head, and I'm still like, yeah.
That's kind of how The Magicians is, in my opinion. Like, even though each book is like only about 400 pages long, so it's like a real nice, like tight, like story. It's not too long. He doesn't linger. It's still like the stories like really make you think, and like you'll linger on them afterwards. I think about them all the time still. I think this will be my third reading of them.
Hmm.
They're great.
I feel like I enjoyed Harry Potter so much. I'm trying to chase the dragon and get that feeling again. And so I was like, what's like Harry Potter? Okay, let's just read that next because I wish I was still reading Harry Potter.
I totally understand. So glad that you have read it now, though. So
Yes. And I read The Tales of the Beetle the Bard, uh, which was really interesting because there's like it kind of hints at larger concepts in the main series, which I like. Like that one tale, the tale of the wizard's hairy heart. Do you remember that one?
yes. I have actually not read Beetle the Bard.
Oh, really? Oh.
Really remember everything that's in it. I only
Hmm.
read it one time, but that was a while ago.
Mm.
So I really only remember the like the Deathly Hallows one
Oh, yeah.
because they
Yeah.
talk about it like at length,
Right.
in the book.
It's it's cool because it's translated by Hermione, and then there's all these footnotes from Dumbledore. So it's written from that perspective, and you get a lot of extra kind of like little insights. Like they'll do one of the tales, and then Dumbledore will relate a story of how they tried to recreate the story with a play, and then it caused like a fire and started to burn down the stage, and
That's
so
cool. Kind of like Macbeth, how it's supposed to be like a cursed play.
yeah. And um there's one story called the wizard's hairy heart, and it's this wizard that doesn't want to leave himself like emotionally open, so he takes his heart out of his chest and like hides it away in like a dungeon, and then he falls in love with this woman. They get married, but then when he goes to put his heart back into his chest, like it's covered in disgusting hair at that point. And
That does sound vaguely
after, yeah, Dumbledore has like some footnotes at the end where it's almost like a commentary on what Voldemort was trying to do, where he was trying to completely avoid death, but by trying to avoid death, he, broke
right.
up his soul into 7 parts. And so Dumbledore kind of draws that parallel between this fairy tale about the wizard that takes his heart out of his chest to avoid, um, I guess, like being emotionally available, but then that ends up hurting him in the end, and like him and his wife both die. So yeah.
It makes me think of um uh the picture of Dorian Gray.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
As so even though he's not trying to he's not trying to make himself like emotionally unavailable, he really just doesn't want to die or age ever because he's
Yeah.
basically so obsessed with himself.
Yeah.
I
But
never read The Picture of Dorian Gray, but I did
it is
watch The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
so good. First off, great movie, which is what got me into The Picture of Dorian Gray, and then I
Oh
read
really?
then I read the book. It's
Mm.
super good.
Huh.
And really fascinating and like such a good book on the concept of hedonism.
Hmm.
Um And now I just want to read it again.
Really?
Wait, did you say the movie was good? The one that came out in 2009? Did I hear that right?
Well, sorry, I was talking about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was really good.
But I think I actually have seen the Dorian Gray movie. Who's in it? Who plays
Colin
Gray?
Firth, Ben Barnes is Dorian Gray.
I have seen that, and that one. I remember it being pretty good. I did enjoy it. It was dark and like seedy, if I remember correctly, which kind of checks out because
He's a narcissist, like.
total narcissist, and just like indulges in every like whim and pleasure that he possibly can. But in trying to just live forever and be young forever, he basically just like loses himself. And kind of the same type of I don't want to spoil it if you don't really know the story, but it's really good though. But it makes me think of that, or reminded me of that.
Interesting.
More things on my list.
The comic book League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, that's the same writer that did Watchmen and V is for Vendetta, in case you guys were wondering.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Also both really good. Well, okay, obviously they're comics, so I've never read them, but I have seen the movies, which are very good. And I do so freaking good. It's so good.
The art for the comics is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
So I cannot be, I can't claim that I know anything about the comics.
I would say the adaptations were pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're never gonna do everything exactly as it is.
Yeah.
Like any book, but I enjoy the movies that they made them.
Nice.
Yeah, Justin and I watched that recently. I think it was on Hulu or something.
Yeah.
We also recently watched the Van Helsing movie, which was like, that was one of the epics of my young self. Like, God, I love them so much. They're so cheesy, but like, honestly, they hold up pretty good. Like,
I was actually just thinking about that. I was wondering because it's been a long time since I've seen Van Helsing, and I've seen it. I watched it a bunch of times when I was younger, and I've always loved it. But because it's been so long, I wonder how much it holds up. It's probably kind of cheesy, but at the same time, I'll probably still love it anyway.
It's cheesy in that way that's wonderful. That like was only like capable of being that way in like late 90s, early 2000s. I enjoyed it just as much the last time I watched it, which was like 2 months ago. So,
I have to see
and
this
also
now.
I didn't realize how much of it I had memorized. As I was watching, I was like, holy shit, I know every fucking line in this movie.
I need to rewatch League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Van Helsing and V for Vendetta and Watchmen.
V for Vendetta was so good. Hugo Weaving, I could just listen to him like talk about murdering to fall asleep. Like I love him so much. when like finding out that he was Elrond, like and Agent Smith, like when I had that realization when I was a kid, I was like, is he not the best person ever?
Oh man.
Now I'm gonna look at a picture of Hugo Weaving.
I love Hugo Weaving.
What has he been up to lately?
Yeah.
Not much.
Oh.
The last movie he did, you want to guess?
2011.
2021, the new Matrix movie, which I still haven't seen.
It's
okay.
It's okay. Yeah. It was It's not bad, but it wasn't like the original trilogy.
I don't need any excuse to watch Keanu Reeves do things, though. God bless him.
Yeah.
True. That's true. Just tell me that Keanu is in it and I will watch it.
I
I'm
love
so-
Keanu. I feel
You-
like there was something more recent, though.
Do you guys like the John Wick series, or are they too violent?
I've actually I've only seen the first John Wick, but
Mhm.
I definitely enjoyed it, and we just haven't gotten around to watching the rest of them.
Oh yeah.
But I very much enjoyed the first one, so I can't imagine. And
Yeah,
again,
What
that's
Keanu not enjoy it to some level.
Yeah.
that's the same exact place that me and Justin are at. We had never watched them, and we watched the first one a handful of months ago, and it was really good.
Mm.
And I definitely plan on watching all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love like action movies like that. Like,
Yeah. One of the interesting things about the John Wick series is its realism and the attention to detail. So they paid like close attention to like even the model of gun that he uses. So in one of the movies, his pistol gets jammed at some point, and like that particular model of pistol was like known for jamming. Or if he takes
oh, that's
15
awesome. That's so
yeah,
cool.
or if he would take 15 shots and then reloads, then that model of gun that he's using, it actually has 15 shots in it before you have to reload. They even paid attention to like details like that. So like if his pistol has 15 bullets, he only takes 15 shots before reloading. And like even his watch, like he if you look closely, his watch is turned so that the face of the watch is on the inside of his wrist, and that's what like special forces will do so that like sunlight or moonlight won't reflect off the face of the watch and then give them away.
Oh, that makes sense. That's cool. What a
Yeah.
cool detail.
So yeah, so even like his watch is like turned on the inside so it doesn't reflect light, and then his enemies see it and see him coming. So it's just the amount of detail in those movies, like you don't realize it because you think it's just like a fun action film, but they put a lot of like little cool Easter eggs like that in there. So
I wonder how much of that is like was the vision of the director originally, or like Keanu Reeves himself insisting, because he's like a fabulous like firearm sportsman. Like he's incredibly
yeah,
talented. So
yeah.
like he would, I imagine those things would bug him if they were not accurate.
Yeah, like training, like he did all this training for the John Wick films where he's, basically like training like a SWAT team guy, you know? Hmm. I think we should try and set another date for Harry Potter role playing. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, we we were hanging out with Kim Sunday, and we're talking, and Kim's like, oh, how did that Harry Potter role-playing game go from 5 months ago? I was like, we still haven't played it. She's like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, oh, there's like COVID and people got sick and Thomas's cat started dying, and like
I had to schedule surgery for him now. He's got to get his teeth removed. His teeth are going bad.
oh
It's a
oh
normal thing that happens to elderly cats. Like that's just, it's a thing that happens. So
yeah.
I've seen it before. It's still like, oh,
yeah, I know. I
something.
don't know if he's gonna be like one of those like kitties where he's just like out all the time, but I'll let you know.
Oh
No, because there's something really endearing about that. Even like
The mutt
being
kitties.
lost, but so I'm assuming he then has to basically be given wet food.
Yeah, and he's been
Right.
on wet food for a while because
Oh,
he doesn't really drink water voluntarily.
Yep.
He doesn't really do it involuntarily either. You can't give him water to drink. He doesn't cooperate. But one of the ways around that is to give them wet food because it has such a higher water
Yep.
content. So
That's what we do as well, because Anya, she still drinks water, voluntarily, but she doesn't drink nearly as much as she should.
yeah.
And so because of that, she ends up getting kind of constipated or has trouble, like, because it's dry. So yeah, I mean, we still feed her like morning and night dry food, but in the afternoon we'll do wet food with like some vitamins that the vet gave us after she had her treatment. So
Yeah, the best like medication for cats is like anything you can put on their wet food. They're bad pill swallowers.
it gets vitamins and lots of water and moisture.
What weekend are you guys free? This will get canceled anyway, so just pick any weekend.
Well, I can't do Father's Day weekend, and I can't do the weekend afterwards because that's Elden Ring, so that's busy.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm
leave?
pretty good.
Not this weekend, just because we're probably getting together with the family.
Nice.
Is Father's Day? Is that the 16th?
Yeah, Father's Day is the 16th, but I could do the 29th or the 30th. That's the weekend after Elden Ring because Elden Ring is after Father's Day. Yeah.
Does 29th work?
Works for me.
But 30th does not work.
30th, okay. Going to church. I like it. I offended her. I was like, oh, you're going to church, and then it's just like frozen. See, Thomas, I told you this session is cursed. We're trying to plan it, and then it's just like bloop.
Bloop. Well, I'm good for the 29th.
Yeah. I was like, are you good for the 29th? And she's like, oh yeah, bloop. Dude, what the heck? Is this session like actually cursed? Wait, I think she's coming back in.
Yay.
She looks like an impressionist painting right now.
Oh yeah. Wait, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Anyway, I was saying the 30th we're celebrating two of my nephew's birthdays.
Whoop, whoop.
Double nephew birthday. So yeah, I could do it the 29th, or I could do it the Saturday after that in July.
29th works for you, Christy?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Nice.
29th or yeah, the Saturday after.
Okay, 29th or 6th. All right, we'll shoot for 29th.
Okay.
We'll make this happen. I swear it'll be good. It'll be worth the 7-month long wait.
Wonderful.
We'll have
The saying is 7 months the charm, right?
yes.
That's right. That's what they say. Put the words in the mouth.
Seventh month is the best one.
7th is the bestest.
Yeah.
I'm confident in that.
That should give Kim enough lead time to come to, because she was pumped on it. She's like, I'm gonna bring my wand collection. I was like, please do. You have a wand collection? That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I knew she was friend material. She has a wand collection.
Yes. She loves Baldur's. She was banging every character in Baldur's. She told us all about it in detail, which I then shared with Misha, who confirmed that she did the same thing. So
I have also banged all the Baldurs.
yeah.
As they say.
Yeah. But that's a story for another time. I believe it is time to go now.
Yes, it is dinner time. Make good choices,
right.
friends.
Bye. See ya.